Hey everybody, what we got?
Good morning.
Good morning. We're waiting on people to get in. That's not the song I wanted to play. Let's see if we got some eyes on the map. I got a little Drake coming in. Give people a little chance to come in. Work on taking my elderberries right now. Hello. Good morning. It's the pussy day. I said it. Yes, I did. What's happening, people? What's happening? I'm Frenchie Davis with Peace La Verite. That means speak the truth. Peace La Verite. We're going to be speaking some truth today. I'll tell you that much.
My name is Essence Revealed because more people need to reveal their essence.
Reveal that. Let me take my elderberry. That's a gummy. Elderberry gummy. Okay.
I've never had gummies before, elderberry.
Okay. I got that. Yes. All right. Listen, Miss Essence, welcome. Essence Revealed. We have work to do. We have events to talk about, and if you could hold up your book, I want to show this awesome book that is an Amazon bestseller. So you can cop that on Amazon, Strippers 20 Life Winning Lessons. Yeah. So you can cop that on Amazon. You know, you and I have just started this working relationship, and we just started working together, and we have this event coming up, and we had to open it up a little bit more to the public, especially with
the conversation
of, there's always something that pops up, and then all of a sudden it's like the sky is falling, right? And so I am astonished at the reaction to WAP and the reaction to women who do sex work and the reaction to women who dance and perform, who are exotic dancers, and this notion as if, strippers and exotic dancers haven't been around since the beginning of time. So,
right.
This is interesting. So what I'd like to take this time to do is I interview you and we talk about this workshop that we have coming up on the 22nd and the 23rd is let's dispel a lot of the stigma around strippers, right? Because there's this notion, that strippers are these very distinct type of people. They're the bottom of the earth, and they're women who are living out their traumatic experiences, and they've been abused, and they need a drug dealer, and they all of this shit, right? Right, but since you are a stripper who decided to get into the adult entertainment industry after, was it your second master's or your first master's?
I only have one master's.
Okay.
So, I started stripping after I already had the master's, so I couldn't even use the I'm stripping my way through school. But I did strip my way through student loans. So
listen, I wish you would have got on the pole for me, because if I had enough arm strength, I would have paid off some student loans too. What? So tell me about it. What led you to enjoying adult entertainment as a stripper after you completed your master's degree?
Well, my master's degree was in education, but my undergrad degree is in acting. I've been an actor professionally since I was 15 years old. But what they don't teach you in art school is how to do business, right? So there's no go down to the actor's employment agency and fill out an application and get a job. And auditions happen from 9 to 5. And so it just became very, very difficult to try to leave my jacket on the back of my chair at my temp job,
Well,
but I can run out to the audition. Or, you know, Darth Karens in the office, setting me up, acting like they're my friends, and getting me fired. And, you know, or I was working 5 jobs just to cover expenses.
listen.
And I was like, something else has to happen. So my girlfriend at the time said, why don't you become a bartender? And she paid for me to go to bartending school.
The New York way, baby. That's the New York way.
The thing is that I'm a horrible liar, though. And in New York, they want you to have like 2 years of experience to bartend, and I don't lie very well. And I made my little fake resume. I had, you know, references set up. I just couldn't get hired. And I walked into a strip club for a bartending job, and he's like, you know, this is a nude club. There's no alcohol. Who knew that? I didn't. You'll make way more money as a dancer. And I'm like, I have 2 degrees from NYU.
Well,
And
I'm educated. Excuse me.
yeah, he's like, I got NYU girls here. So long story short, I ended up dancing for a decade.
Wow.
Because it
That's
allowed me to get
now,
to auditions, all I wanted. I booked so much work as an actor while I was dancing because I wasn't stressed out about getting the job to pay my bills. You know,
but on average, most strippers dance 3 to 5 years on average,
I
and
would guess 10. I feel like there's
about 19%
okay.
that go beyond those 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So very interesting. And I'm happy you found a place that you can find peace and enjoy yourself and still live out your goals to manifest your career as an actor.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's levels to everything, right? There are the clubs where people are doing $5 hand jobs at the bar. And, you know, there are the clubs where the security guards would come over and be like, don't touch the girls. And I just always worked in those places.
Okay.
Because my thing was, it's always good to be the new girl. So I would always go to, you know, the gentleman's club where I would be one of few and worked it that way.
What did you enjoy most about stripping?
What I enjoyed most about stripping was the freedom of my time and being able to exchange my time for an amount of money that made sense on average. Because don't get me wrong, there are days where you can go home owing the club money because you have to pay house
Girl,
and
them
all of
tip
that.
outs ain't no hoe.
Listen, you know, they're like, run me my money before you go start making yours. So they get their money first. But
Typical man.
in general, I love the fact that I could work as much as I want. I could work as little as I want. If I didn't feel like going to work that day, but I was supposed to go to work that day, nobody's going to say you have to come in. I could just be like, I'm not coming in today. So I love the freedom and being able to make enough money to do whatever I wanted. You know, pictures are expensive, acting classes are expensive. Keeping your wardrobe for on-camera things takes some money. All of these things take money. Even if you're a visual artist, paint supplies, drawing supplies, all of these things cost money. So there were a lot of creative people in the clubs, dancers, writers, actors, models.
What, if any, do you feel like was the most difficult part about being a stripper or being in that particular career field? Notice I did say career field.
What was most difficult was that you know, I wasn't my most confident self when I first began. So it was like every day going to do something that I was so nervous to do. Also, the fact that so many men were in charge of what was happening, you know, I feel like the way that some of the male managers would talk to women. Early on, I would allow myself to be spoken to that way by management, but I quickly realized that the women that spoke to them as if they were equals got way less of that kind of chat. So that was a learning curve, you know. Also, it's not a good job for everybody. So it was really hard to watch the women that were being swallowed by it. You know, like I remember this one woman who had drug issues And instead of saying, hey, you need to get yourself together and not come to work until you do, they just let this girl work. And I mean, she just, ugh, it was hard to watch, you know, like she shouldn't have been there.
You know, and we can also say, while that is certainly a reality, I mean, you could say that about acting in and of itself. It's certainly not for everyone. There are a lot of gigs, you know, a lot of spaces where in the military, you know, where it's so male dominated. A lot of times, you know, people in the military will say that the military is not for women and that is difficult and that you need to get out. Like there are a lot of spaces. And so I think when the career of being a stripper or a sex worker is stigmatized as if it's like, you know, the worst thing in the worst narrative. When
that
women,
was really hard.
yeah,
I
we know we're all go through this.
remember how I said I wasn't good at lying? Because of the stigma, I lived a double life. And so I pretty much stayed to myself because I don't like to lie. And being around people meant that I always had to think twice before I speak. I couldn't speak freely. And, you know, like the way ladies can now, I don't, you know, women aren't ashamed to say I'm a stripper. But at that time when I was doing it, you didn't let anybody know what you were doing. Like I worked with women who didn't even let their boyfriends know what they were doing. I don't know how they kept it up, but somehow they did. So that was really hard. It was like living in isolation. There was no social media. I couldn't go to like, you know, the stripper group and decompress with people who knew what it was. So the loneliness and the isolation was really, really hard.
I can imagine it is, you know, it's real funny that you speak of that because when I was in my Brooklyn days, you know, I used to be a phone sex operator.
Ooh.
And one of my colleagues, you know, her husband would drop her off every evening, but he never knew that she was a phone sex operator. And it was like, it was the best thing. And I'm just like, well, how long have you been doing it? She said, girl, 8 years. Girl, he ain't.
What do you think she was doing?
But she was bringing in them coins. Like,
Interesting.
Daddy was not saying anything. Daddy was not. And I was just sitting there like, damn, like an 8-year lot. Like, your husband don't know. You done sucked like 6 dicks tonight over the phone. Just
right. Talk about macaroni in a pot.
Man, boy, but she was like, hey, listen, you know, mine gotta do what mine gotta do. And, you know, it was like that. And, you know, I appreciate you talking about all the facets of being an exotic dancer or being a stripper. And, you know, I really appreciate that because right now you have this hyperbole, like, you know, we have to watch what's in these images, and our girls are gonna go out and they're gonna be prostitutes and they're gonna sell their bodies. And then then I put up some shit like this, where, you know, we're only 12.7% of the population, yet Black women make up over 50% or more than 50% of all postdoctorate degrees.
How about that?
Baby's not running to the motherfucking pole. I'm just like, stop the fake moral outrage. That is not what is happening to girls. There are girls and women. There are women who choose to perform in sex work and do stripping and exotic jobs. There has always been those positions. And there are the rest of the women who equally like you, who is dual degreed, who also just enjoy stripping. Like,
it's almost like you step into this other persona that's not you, that is all about being the life of the party. So sometimes, you know, a stressful day of real life, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get into work and be that, you know, that fun, have no problems girl, you know. So it can be like this, it's a fantasy for them. It can be a fantasy for you too, some days. But yeah, how about that, Black women in all the degrees?
Yeah, we show up in so many ways. I just find it interesting. While, you know, this is the current hype is about WAP and about the representation of Black women, when the truth is America has never given a damn about the representation of Black women. And no matter how hard we work, that stigma has always existed. And what I struggle with is how we ourselves participate in the stigmatization of our Black women. Like, You know, it is us and our music that keeps calling the women the whores, the bitches, and then you're like you're and saying that girls are fast, and you know we have all of these stigmas and all of these ideals around Black girls, and yet we keep raising our boys to be uh, sexually aggressive. We keep raising our boys to be rapists. We keep raising our boys to be derogatory towards women, but nobody has nothing to say about the boys.
You know, I saw someone make a post that was like, I'm a heterosexual male. I only want to hear talking about fucking and sex from men that I'm not attracted to. I don't want to hear it from women who I actually want to date as a heterosexual male. And I thought that was an interesting take on it, that nobody had problems when R. Kelly is saying whatever he's singing about, or XYZ rapper is talking about hoes and bitches and you know, fucking women while they're passed out. You know, nobody had anything really to say about those things, but some women dare say, I got this WAP, and because of it, I benefit in this way. That's horrible. As if we never had a Foxy Brown, as if we never had a Little Kim, as if we never had Trina, as if we never had Luke's whole crew, you know, as if they didn't all, you know, the age group that has the most issues with it. We are the freaknik you know, generation. So it's very strange to me. I don't understand why all of a sudden people get worried about children when women talk about sex, but
you know,
they don't worry about it when men do.
And I struggle with it too, because most parents have no idea when or where their children lost their virginity. They have no idea with whom they lost their virginity, how they feel, how that experience was. But there's this big panic about whether their child is going to become a stripper or not.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with the cherry picking of where your worries and fears are.
Right. I'm like, what is morality really? Because as far as I can see it, morality is a very individualized thing, right? So there is no, this is moral cross the board and that is immoral cross the board. I think there are individual things.
It really is. You know, there are, again, you know, I have posted in the banner, there are less than 4,000 strip clubs in the United States. Okay, less than 4,000. There are 4,200 colleges and universities across the United States. I think we're doing okay. You know, sex workers make up such a small but very valuable, important space in the business market. Sex work, as far as strippers goes, is an $8 billion industry. So I'm like, clearly, this is not about the strippers.
No.
This is about the fucking consumers.
It's about their own, what have they internalized about sexuality? What have they internalized about the place of a woman? What have they internalized about how a woman gets to have agency over her body, right? NFL players, they bash their bodies and their brains to death. Some of them, after going through all those concussions, commit suicide. And here's what's interesting. They never shoot themselves in the head because they want their brain to be able to be studied. But
Yeah.
you know, they get praise and awards and multi-million-dollar contracts for abusing their bodies. But I want to like do a little twerk and it's like, oh no, you can't use your body like that. That's harmful.
It's again the fake moral outrage when this country voted for a president who said grab him by the pussy, and 54% of white women voted for the man who said grab him by the pussy. And when we talk about vulgarities, I would think that that would be far more vulgar, that we would choose Trump as the leader of our country. That is far more vulgar than you being on a pole, degreed or not degreed, so that you can pay off your student loans. Let's see, dancing. I mean, I'm at home, I dance new, like whether we choose to be exhibitionists or whether we choose to do dancing naked privately, honestly, what is the ill of it? I'm trying to, if our bodies are amazing and we're trying to get to this place where we talk about body positivity, and you have these women who are performing who can assert their sexual agency and be proud, and yet we are teaching them that this is something that they should be ashamed of. I'm trying to understand.
Do you see in your practice, I'm curious about, because I feel like that shame then physicalizes itself, right? That shame of sexuality then becomes, like why are Black women more susceptible to things like fibroids? Why are things like that? I feel like it leads back to the sexual shame and it being physicalized, because you don't have safe spaces, obviously, to talk about it, which is why I think what we're doing is important, because you see there's not really a safe space for Black women to be sexual freely.
That part. And there's not as many safe spaces for men to be honest about what they really feel and what they really desire.
Yeah.
Right. And that contributes to, because when we suppress what is natural in them, that contributes to rape culture. That puts women more at risk. So by us continuing to perpetuate shame, I think that people fail to realize how much more risk that they are putting on women, and how heavier the burden that they are putting on women to be responsible and accountable for what the fuck men do.
Right. There's the other thing too, like little girls in school have these rules about what they can wear. Shorts, like nothing crazy, just shorts. And the reason they can't wear the shorts is because it would distract the male students. How is, the fact that someone can't control themselves become my issue when it's summertime and it's hot and I'm just wearing shorts? That kind of positioning always is strange to me.
And that's why I keep saying, we never worry about our sons. Like if there wouldn't be strippers if men didn't go to the club.
Yep.
Just the industry would not be where it is today if it weren't for these men. So men need to address other men. It's not us that you need to address.
Right.
It is the men that you need to address. It is the boys that you need to address, even though how many fathers do we have going home and showing their sons porn so that they can learn about sex?
Yeah.
And yet we are outraged about these images of women on TV when we could care less about the representation and the messages that we send to boys. We don't care that we don't raise boys to become men.
Yeah.
Complete disregard of that, and that's why, I was so excited to meet you and to work on this project, which I have it here for those who are interested. You, I, and Pradma, we are doing this great workshop about sexual agency and erotic exploration, and you're going to be doing the movement part.
Yes, I will getting women in there shimmy.
I'm telling you, I can't drop it like it's hot. If I drop it, somebody else gonna have to pick it up because I am not twerkable. I wish I could do something.
I bet I can show you how to pop a booty cheek.
Work with me. I'm hoping to learn because I can't. Yeah, my shit don't drop. It's like on some type of weird hydraulic. I feel like I got hooks in my back.
All the hydraulics in there.
Something's not working. It's broke. My twerk is broke. So we're gonna really need this. And of course, I'm gonna be talking about how we develop our sexual agency and bring more of our intimate sexual self to light without guilt and shame. And you're going to be doing the movement component. And so, I was like, yo, let's do this and put this out here for even more people.
Yes.
Because I think that the timing of all of this was impeccable.
Right.
And maybe, WAP was a blessing in disguise. Like, and somebody said, I think it's in the hamstring. I don't know hamstrings. I got books for
Wait, let me test
I don't
it.
have no hamstrings.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Test out that.
See, the one thing, when I used to work in Detroit, Michigan, in my hometown, I used to work at this great gentleman's club called the Black Orchid. Now, the Black Orchid was popular. It was like the place. It was on HBO, Real Sex. Black Orchid used to be the spot, right? Okay. And so, I was a barmaid, and I knew the owners, and they were just really great guys, freaky guys, but great guys. And I got to meet these women, and I reveled in their majestic energy. Like when I watch a stripper put a man in a trance, when he's just sitting there like, and it's not that he hasn't seen a naked woman before, but it's something about that woman and that movement at that time that makes him go, and he's just sitting there.
Can you make this person feel like it's just you and I, even though we're in this whole crowded club? It's just us.
It's something about the power that a woman who knows herself commands.
Absolutely. And that's inside the club, and it drips out to outside the club. Like now I'm a woman that loves to negotiate, because I had to speak to so many businessmen about money with numbers coming from where I come from. I grew up a working class family. So those numbers were big numbers to me at the time, to be, trying to negotiate. And now I am the cheerleader of somebody knows Black Orchid.
Man, that was the spot.
I always encourage women to ask for the big numbers, ask for payment, demand payment, stop working for free, stop thinking you're asking for too much, because too much is also, individual. Somebody, $500 is sneaker money to somebody, whereas $500 is the world to somebody else. So you can't,
Absolutely, it's all subjective, So, and I'm getting this from a number of people who are saying, it's only a few people who are outraged about WAP, and that I think pertains to different people's feeds. So, as a sex educator, I've always seen this resistance. I've always seen this animosity against sex workers and women who own their own sexual agency, or a woman like me who walks around with a damn pussy t-shirt saying, "There, I said it." There's always been animus against us, and I also find it interesting how so many people are oblivious to it when women are shamed left and right, when women are degraded so often. Is not quiet. It's not quiet for us. It's not safe, know. And so I guess I'm asking for our audiences to grow and take the blinders off and see what is really happening. And that's also why I had, listed a number of these banners up, because I think that, people don't realize the life of an exotic dancer or a stripper, and they really underestimate it, and they really undervalue it and underscore it for all the great things that it is, as much as it is the challenging things. Right. And I needed to point out some of our other famous strippers like Eve, Lady Gaga, Dita Von Teese, Kendra Wilkinson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Nene Leakes, Amber Rose. Like, I could go on and on and on, and look at what these particular individuals evolved into. Right. So the notion that somehow your life is over, or that it ends, if we get you on the pole, like, these women you guys are athletes, one. You know, again, the strength and the muscle that it takes, the endurance, the sexual agency, the self-awareness, the rhythm, because you know, I struggle with the rhythm. You know, I went to a PWI. What can I say? Goodness. Like, you know, did you work out? Do you still work out? Do
Oh
you
man, I looked at it as
for
part of
you
the
now?
I looked at it as double part of the gig working out, right? Because as an
Yeah.
actor, this is my instrument. I got to keep it in shape. And definitely as a dancer, working in white clubs, that's a whole other, head trip. So I worked out 5 days a week, usually twice with a trainer, for years and years and years and years. At this point now, like I was an athlete from sixth grade. I ran track all the way through high school. I didn't start going to the gym until that freshman 15 happened, and I realized, oh, I should maybe work out. I never counted track as working out. It was just track. So yeah, I worked out 5 days a week, hard body, the whole time that I was doing it. And now I don't work out as much. I stretch, I do yoga, and I eat my vegetables. I mostly just eat good things. Not to say that the red velvet slice of cake doesn't show up when I feel like it, but for the most part, I eat
I'm
healthy.
just gonna keep fucking with these elderberry gummies. I can't fuck a broccoli. Okay, good.
You can't with the broccoli. Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh!
Mm-mm.
You
No,
kale
people.
chips.
Mm-mm. Them elderberries is all right though. That's um, Essence, what? Okay, so we do understand. I can't ignore this. You know, our our youth are impressionable, and they are dropping it like it's hot because I mean that's just in our body memory as a people. You know, as a people, we're just freaking dancers. Everybody, hold on to yourselves when you just learn that we just fucking dance. Oh my God, right? Um, what do you say though to the young girl who's exploring her sexual agency, who loves to dance, who, you know, looks to people like Cardi B and Meg and is impressed by it, but still not sure? What do you say to that young person or that young girl?
Take your time. You have
Mhm.
so much time to explore, who you are as a person, who you are as a sexual being. There is no rush. Take your time. Um, I think that the way in which things are so out in the open, I can see how, parents are like, oh, my daughter's going to want to grow up to be a stripper because it's this glamorized thing. But I'm like, parents, rest assured, if she walks into that club and she actually sees what she has to go through to make that money, it's not an easy job. It's a sales job. And not a lot of people are accustomed to dealing with rejection time after time after time. Like I had actor friends who were like, I couldn't do it because it's rejection during the day and then it's rejection to my face at night. It was just too much.
Wow.
So I would tell them it's not all glamour. It's not all making it rain. You know,
Yeah, sometimes you don't even get a drizzle. Like,
okay,
what the
it's a fog, a mist. It's not like nothing is like you see it on TV, right? Even as a
never. This ain't some J Lo bullshit.
yeah.
Ever. Ever, ever.
Oh, I worked in the club that the movie was about. And
Hmm.
here's the thing to young girls, to everybody out there, never do the compare and despair game, because I was working in that club and there were little pockets of girls that worked together who all it was like every night they had the big spenders every night, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? Um, well, what I was doing wrong was I wasn't drugging the customers. I had no idea that
Oh,
that was going
shit.
on.
Right,
And I
right.
mean, even I worked directly with some of the girls in the film in a VIP one night. I didn't know that's what was happening. So while I'm there beating up myself and feeling bad about my skills, it had nothing to do with that. I was fine, you know. It was about people doing things I wasn't willing to do. So, I would say that too. Don't look from the outside and think that someone else's existence is this bright, rosy thing.
Absolutely. And even in that, when you talk about, where you set your boundaries, especially for customers, in the industry of theater and acting anyway, you really have to work on setting your boundaries, because we know that those very same men are also in that industry as well, which is, why so many women have come out in the hashtag me in the Me Too movement, because there are so many men, again, because we don't check men and boys, taking advantage and violating women. And those women are just acting, they're not even strippers. So once again, this is not about, who is more likely to be violated or assaulted because of whatever position that they're in. Because I can think of many girls who have been violated who are never strippers. I can think of
it could be a whole lot
who have been violated who are never strippers. Like, this has nothing to do with this. We have a male aggression violence issue in America. It has nothing to do with stripping, right? And so
I can walk down the street and not answer someone a way they think I should answer, and that could be fatal. The problem is at that level. There are men that want to shoot someone for not, responding the way they want to their advances. It's a problem. I dated someone who always wanted me made up, and you can't go outside unless you da 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 da. And I was like, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman on the streets alone. You got to decide in a split second. Do I say hello back? Do I just keep walking? If I respond in this way, is it going to go from 0 to 10? Like, all of these things we have to deal with just trying to get to the store and back home.
Right. I just keeps me some pepper spray and a good night.
Yeah, I leave the house with no less than 2 or 3 weapons.
I'm not even fucking with y'all. But
I have pepper sprayed a man down to the ground and then walked home.
Let me say this, because this is real funny. You look so respectable. I would have never known that you were a stripper.
No.
Look at my glasses too, girl. Look. You on the pole, I'm selling pussy. It's a win. It's a win. We hidden figures.
Okay. This always cracks me up. Like, I do burlesque, right? And I still say I'm a stripper even when I'm doing burlesque, because I'm taking clothes off. And people will say, oh, no, don't call yourself a stripper. You're a burlesque performer. And I'm like, no, see, you don't want me to call myself a stripper because you have issues with strippers. You have an issue with what you think that a stripper is, right? I don't have that issue. I don't feel like I'm speaking down on myself by saying I'm a stripper. You do. So I do burlesque. It's just stripping for a whole lot less money in a way more expensive costumes.
Yeah, and that's just not cheap either. As we wrap up, because we could stay here and talk about the pole and the joys of stripping all day. Again, can you hold up your book? Because
please go check it out. There were so many things that had to do with how you deal with yourself on the inside, how you build yourself up on the inside, how you become your own best friend in your head, that have become like, I run my life in that way now.
Right.
And it's not about me being sexual. The lessons that came, it's not at all about that. It's about developing relationships. It's about nurturing your customer base. It's about not being afraid to hear no. It's about collecting the no's so you get to the yes. So check it out.
Yes. Well, I look forward to our workshop together on the 22nd and the 23rd. That's coming up soon. So people, if you have questions, feel free to inbox us. My Goddess Rising at eventbrite.com. So you can tag that out. We really do hope to. Somebody asked about the book. What's linked to find the book and your T-shirt? And you can just type in pussy T-shirt at PayPal. And, I have these in black too. I should also say,
show the back of the shirt too.
So so it says pussy there. I said it. up front, and then there's also writing on the backside. So let me read it. So this is how I define pussy. Pussy, God sent, non-derogatory, all-powerful, life canal, pleasure creator, only consenting, private property, delicious, nurturing, non-conforming, political, and magnanimous. That's our pussy. And
Absolutely.
that's our segment for this morning. I thank you all for chiming in and tuning in with us. Learn more about Goddess Rising at Eventbrite, and we'll see you next time. Essence, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye.